All right. I am so excited, Kim, to have you with me today on the Be the Change You Need podcast. I have been looking forward to our interview, and you and we've come to know each other through our time virtually. I've never gotten to step into space with you in human form, but definitely been in the virtual space a lot. And I really feel like I've come to know you so very much in our short time. So, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a guest and allowing me to get to have time with you, but also my listeners. So, I'd really like for you to open it up and share with my audience who you are and whatever you feel compelled to share.
Well, thank you so much for having me here today, Tara. I know we have had some great connections and shared interests virtually, and I'm so glad that we can expand that to your community today. And we both can continue to learn from each other and hopefully inspire others to kind of hop on board and be the change that they want to be as well. My name is Kim Brazier, and I really have kind of a varied background, but honestly, I am someone that likes to create connection. So, connection to your soul, connection to mindset, connection to your energy, and most recently, connecting people to signs, which is really using their own intuition and looking at all the messages that you can receive that you know you're never alone, whether it's from lost loved ones that have passed and you're really yearning for that connection to them still on the physical plane, even though they're always here with us, or if it's some connection that you need from God, angels, your spirit team, whoever it is. So, kind of helping you to hone into that and make sure you know that you have the ability to see that every day.
Hmm.
I'm also a caregiver, a healthcare worker for over, gosh, I think we're going on about 30 years now, which seems crazy that time flies by. So it's always been kind of at the forefront as a respiratory therapist to kind of breathe life back into the souls of people. And I really enjoy doing that through like this spoken words and then also the written word through legacy, through various books I've contributed to and writing my own. So.
Wow. I love that. I love it. So, thank you. Thank you for sharing with who you are and just giving us some really great nuggets of information of just your path in life and why you're here and what you do. What opened you up to step into this line of work with the intuition? Like, why have you felt compelled to bring this awareness into people's lives?
I think there's a catalyst in just about everyone's lives that kind of open up to a little bit more. Maybe you're searching for answers in the midst of, what people might call a dark night of the soul. I was experiencing a transition in my life in relationships, right? And I've also experienced job transitions and transitions with loved ones. And I think that's when I first kind of started looking into other methods of like, how can I tap into something that I need, like at 3 a.m. in the morning when, I'm not going to call my friends or my family members because I'm struggling, right? So I really kind of started out with the foundation that a lot of people had, at least back in the day. This is before the secret time and all of those things, but really the foundation with Louise Hay and affirmations, Catherine Ponder, Wayne Dyer. And so start with really that mindset work of learning to incorporate affirmations into my life to try to keep a little bit balanced, stay positive, maybe that quick shift
Mhm.
and also realizing like as a healthcare professional and at that time like as a mom of two, like I needed to stay healthy, so I also knew that whatever we were talking about could end up as disease in our body if we weren't careful, right? And then kind of moved on to energy work, which is Reiki, and I'm a Reiki master and enjoyed that, and so did my family. They liked receiving the benefits of a mom with Reiki, right? I'm earache help or my back hurts help. And just the profound difference that made in individuals that I saw in person, through business and just family members. And as you kind of know, Tara, I've kind of on your path, I've, witnessed some of it online, is that once you kind of open yourself up to listening to your intuition,
Mhm.
taking that time really to find that stillness to figure out what that is, right? You never know if it's like, I know some people are like, I don't trust that. Is that just my brain going crazy? Is it monkey mind or is it truly my own intuition that I need to follow? So, starting with that stillness as well and making sure that we start to hone into what we need, what we're feeling, and then create the little pivots or changes that we need to happen on small scale and big scale. Sometimes you just need to make a tiny change and continue on that path. And before you know it, you've turned the corner and everything is looking much brighter.
So true. I love that you share how you bring in Louise Hayes and you bring in the mindset and you bring in all that thing and in relation to intuition, because oftentimes I think that when people hear intuition, they immediately jump into woo-woo and they start
Mhm.
to go down that rabbit hole. And if they just would step back from that everyday thinking that can be programmed in them and realize that mindset work is intuition, it's listening, it's hearing, it's allowing yourself to receive the messages from yourself and being guided by the knowledge that you have within you that's always been there. There's that statement out there, and I'm sure that you've heard it and you probably practice it, is that everything that you need to get through what you're going through is within you. It's always there, right? So I love that you share that, and I love that you bring that into the lives of others to help them connect inner and rather than outer, that external validation, going in for that internal validation and listening to themselves, especially at 3 a.m. That's a great time to be able to go in and listen. I love that. I love that a lot. So, what practices or habits help you stay connected to your intuition in a world that's often encouraged to have logic over inner knowings?
Yeah. Oh man, there's so many rituals that I do practice. I'm gonna just back up for 1 second. So I want to go
Sure.
back to what you said, where everybody thinks that like intuition is so woo-woo. And I know, like when I started back in this 25 years ago, right? People did think, I was maybe like, oh, what is she talking about? Like she is a little woo-woo. Or at the time I made we had some crystals, right? That I was using to ground myself with or whatever. And they're like, crystals. And then, come COVID 2020, 20 years later, everybody's like, my nieces are running to me saying, I want the crystals. So honestly, what I do think is that the intuition piece of it with the woo is what I was getting to, is that like like I bet you everybody out there has had a time when they were doing something or making a decision and their stomach just got upset.
Mm,
They were like feeling that right in their solar plexus, feeling like something feels off.
yeah.
Now, that's your body, that's your intuition speaking to you. Or if you've ever been driving somewhere and you're like, oh, I think I need to take a left instead of a right. This doesn't make any sense. Like you feel like you're redirected, but you don't know why you're doing it.
Yes.
Those are the little pieces of your intuition, your inner knowingness that isn't all crazy and woo woo, right? That's what the power you have within you. And
Yes.
that's where people need to start. Um, Dropping kind of that facade of what they think intuition is and realizing they're probably using it on an everyday basis, right?
Right.
Maybe even when they're taking a test back in high school, they don't know the answer, but for some reason they think, oh, I should choose A, right? So it can just be as simple as that and more grand as you go on. But so the main practices that I think that are easy and simple that have worked for me have always been number one is really taking time to be quiet or be still. And for me, that actually means either sitting outside. I love the water, so I sit down by the lake. I live by a lake or on the lake, or taking a walk. Some people like to do it while they're working out, and that might be your stillness time. I
Yes.
also like to do it while I'm driving because it's whatever kind of gets you in that quiet zone.
Sure.
I also find that prayer works for me, prayer and affirmation, because I do think that while I believe in God and can be a higher power or whatever you believe in, I do think we still need to connect and connect to that higher self, that higher source, and really express what you're grateful for. So I like to start out with gratitude each day And sometimes when you're struggling, that gratitude might just be that you woke up for the day. And
Right.
other days it might be, celebrating that you spent time with friends and family, that you have food to eat, that you have a warm bed, that you had a job interview, that you have a paycheck, that we have this technology that we can connect with people all over the world. So um, stillness, gratitude are the two. And then the other thing that I really like to do is surround myself with like people. So I like to keep my tribe flowing. I don't necessarily have, hundreds of thousands of people that I gather with on a daily, weekly, or yearly basis. But I do have a core group of friends or mentors that I reach out to and connect with to kind of keep that, you hear it called high vibe, but it's really keep that like-mindedness
Mhm.
because surrounding yourself with people that are going to uplift you and support you, not necessarily want to fix you or to tear you down or to be surrounded in a space where you don't feel safe being who you are, doesn't really help yourself or them. So keeping that community kind of close to your heart. I'm trying to think what else. Sometimes I do journaling. Um, Sometimes I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I do enjoy your podcast because I think there's so much information that is out there free, right? Just for us to be inspired and to help us pick up whatever golden nugget that we need for the day or the week, because it really can shift our direction, um, not even knowing what we need that day.
Yeah, such great nuggets. I hope that for all of you listening, really heard the different ideas that Kim gave you because each and every one of them are such powerful ways to actually help you to stay connected to your intuition and to really get to know and trust yourself. I think oftentimes we don't believe in intuition or we struggle because we don't have that full on trust. And I think everything that you shared, Kim, is just a really great way for us to start to trust ourselves and to really hear ourselves. So thank you. Especially love like the gratitude. I found that the attitude of gratitude has been such an amazing and powerful tool for me to really start to shift my reality. It was probably the missing puzzle piece for me when it came to mindset work because it went through a lot of it, but not being able to be in that attitude of gratitude or just not I have to take that back. There's no such thing as not being able to. We all can. It's whether we choose to or not, right? So choosing not to be in that attitude of gratitude really made it impossible for the mindset work to actually work for me. So I love that you share that so very much. I think it's powerful. I do want to ask though, you talk about spending time with people and like-minded people and people that build you up and that high vibe. How do you deal with the people that don't build you up? That all of a sudden you find yourself stuck in an unexpected situation with people that are very low vibe and are actually draining you in some way. How do you come out of that situation without losing pieces of yourself, literally? And then how do you disconnect from that negativity afterwards?
Oh, those is good questions because I think we all experience that, right? And it could be that an individual at a certain time is just really in a funk, right, in their life, or it could be that that's just what they chronically are living their life as.
Yeah.
So, first of all, I kind of like to analyze that. Like, are they just having a bad day today and I can kind of redirect, or is this kind of a chronic thing? So, those times when I feel like it's just kind of they're having an off day because we can all have that. I like to kind of throw things back at them or question them. So if they tend to be really negative about certain things or always just honing on the same thing, like kind of just spewing all over you, sometimes rather than answering their questions, I learned from a mentor, like you should just say, how are you going to handle that?
Yes, yes.
Have you thought about looking at that in a different approach instead of saying, I think you should, blah, 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 right? Because it's not getting through to them or they're not ready to take action. What I have learned as uh, an empath and a healthcare provider, always a caregiver, and it's always been like something that I want to try to help or fix, but sometimes those things are not for you to fix. You
Right.
can listen and just almost like hand it back to them lovingly. Let them figure it out. And sometimes they need to hear words that will interrupt their brain, right? To be able to go, oh, wait a second. Maybe I do have to take action on it. Now, if you're finding yourself with those people all the time that are really bringing you down, maybe you want to cancel going to events with them, or maybe you're just like, oh, I just want to get out of here today. I've found in the last 5 to 7 years that I've actually started to analyze how much energy those relationships are bringing to me.
Mhm.
How much of the effort is me like, oh, I've been the one arranging all the get togethers. I've been the one coordinating everything. I'm the one they never ask any questions of and just continue to, talk about themselves or problems or whatever. I find that those ones that I'm really doing all the work and there's no dual energy exchange or, yeah, I have just been actually just kind of phasing those individuals out of my life.
Yeah.
And then I feel like they'll just pop back up when they need to, but only if I am ready to see them. I'm at a different stage in life, probably being decade older than you or more. I'm in my 50s, and I found that after losing my mom and going through COVID and just aging, that it's not worth the stress to be in situations where it doesn't feel good. It's like I don't have to put up with that. My time is so limited here that I really want to do the best for myself and for them. I mean, I'm not helping them either, I'm sure, right? Like if we're not meshing, it's probably not a good dual gathering or relationship, friendship or whatever. So I try to pull back from them. And once you know, the minute you do, surprisingly wonderful people or things enter into your life.
Yes.
I think we've all heard that, people could be there for a reason or a season. And what I've found is some of my seasons have been ending, the last 5 to 7 years, and I'm okay with that.
Yes.
So I think once you get that first hurdle of that first one that you're like, this isn't a fit any longer. Like, I bless you, I love you. I'm grateful for what we have. I try to, do that quietly at home before I go to bed, send them off, and then just don't reach out with contact.
Yes.
So
I do
is
agree.
that something similar you do, Tara?
Yeah, yeah, it is. I've also started to do something like a ground clear and to shield myself as well. So that
Yeah.
way, when I go into that situation, if it's not meant to
Mhm.
me, meant for me, it's not coming into my bubble. Like it
Yeah.
won't affect me.
Yeah.
And if I find that something comes in and it is affecting me, I am feeling some pressure or some like unhappy feelings about it, then I'm gonna ground clear. I'm gonna do the shield again. And if it's still there, there's something about it that I'm supposed to be aware of. And then that allows me to bring that awareness in and find out what it is. What am I supposed to be aware of? Why am I supposed to be affected by this? And but if I do that process and it's not there, then I know that that's not mine. It's entirely theirs and it's no longer affecting me. So that's something that's been pretty radical to help me because as an empath, as an intuitive, not realizing that I was an intuitive, not realizing that's why when I'd walk into locations, I'd all of a sudden feel the energy and know that something had just went down and I'd be pelted by it. Oftentimes, I was taking on things that were not mine, and this has given me the ability to release that and let it go. And I think it's important for everybody that's listening, and I think Kim that you'll agree with this is that even if you're somebody that's like, I'm not interested in being an intuitive, I'm not interested in doing this work, or I don't have this calling, you still as an empath because you can be a lawyer and be an empath. You can be a taxi cab
Mhm.
driver and be an empath. You can be a janitor at the school and be an empath. You will take on energy that does not belong to you because you are naturally an empath. So, knowing that and listening to what Kim has shared or what I've shared really will help you to not take on what does not belong to you. So I love that you share that so very much. And just the tidbit of information that you've given, I think is huge. It's impactful.
Tara, I really think that people do need to practice, what you mentioned. And that's certainly something that I do automatically, like when I walk into situations or walk into the hospital, but also to consider teaching their children how to do that as well.
Yeah.
Because I found as my kids were growing up and having situations at school or coming home kind of in a meltdown, realizing that some of that energy wasn't theirs or that it was just too much for them to handle. So, I think some of these should be just basic principles that
Yeah.
we think about and do automatically on a daily basis or whenever you're going to a large gathering. And you're right. You hear a lot of people say that they're empaths, and they certainly are, but not everybody knows the tools to help them continue to navigate through life's up and downs of the energies, right? There's a big thing. If you walk through the Minnesota State Fair in a couple weeks where there's, thousands of people, you're going to feel different than if you walked into your the small grade school that I grew up in or high school that I grew up in. It just can be a lot more overwhelming for people, make your nervous system feel disruptive, and then you might not actually be able to tap into your own intuition, right? You might be tapping into other people's energies and making decisions off of that versus what's truly happening to you.
Yes, 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 yes. I love that you share that. So true. Fun little cool like tidbit of information. Kim grew up where I live. I am a transplant into the location. I grew up like 30 minutes away, so it's not like I'm hours and hours away. However, it's just so fun to me. You know, you had reached out when you knew that I was having a retreat and had asked about helping. And at first, my first thought before I knew anything about you, I mean, I knew the last name, obviously, but I thought, she can't be knowing that this is spiritual work because she's from the area. So she must be thinking it's something different. And then I start researching and I'm like, oh, wait. Oh my God, this is amazing. So it was so fun to me. I was like, oh, she can't be knowing what this is about. She's totally. Oh, so good. I so love it. So yes, it's so fun. You've left the area and you live elsewhere, but we've crossed paths in the perfect timing. You know, nothing is ever coincidental, right? So you lived here, I've lived here for man, 15 years. Our paths could have crossed so many times, but it wasn't until I stepped into being an intuitive healer and doing this work that our paths crossed because it was the exact timing that it was meant to. And I just love it. I'm grateful. And I love that you're a local here and grew up here. I just love that piece of it. I
Oh, it is so fun that it's so fun to see you stepping into your full light and being able to spread that across the local community up there. I know that sometimes bringing new thoughts, new ideas with sometimes limiting mindsets or limiting beliefs and religious concerns can pop up and kind of create a little uncomfortableness.
Yeah.
I did publish a book a little while ago, See the Signs, creating belief, affirming connection, providing hope for those who are kind of looking for signs from their loved ones who have passed, or God, or angels, or whatever. And I have to say that I was overwhelmed with this amount of support from the small town that I grew up in. Everybody was so supportive. Like when I came up there for a family event, they were like, "You want to sign my book?" And I'm like, "What?" And I I almost didn't. I didn't even announce that. I mean, I announced that I was doing it, but I didn't even say until like 3 days before that it was going to be out because I was so afraid people would think I was crazy. Like, what is this lady doing? But what I found is when you have a message that people need, it's going to resonate with the right people. My
yes.
book wasn't perfect. I had to redo a few things and whatever, but I did it myself. And honestly, it became a number one bestseller mostly because of that community.
Oh, so
So,
wonderful.
yeah. So I think when you find your community there, you just got to love them and let them be where they're at, meet them where they're at, right?
Yes. Yes.
And suddenly doors will open. So,
I agree. And I believe, Kim, that when you are so confident in who you are and you remain rooted in your authentic truth, regardless of what words, what statements, what emotions or actions are pelted at you, it puts people in place and they realize that regardless of their opinions, you're not changing who you are. And when you do that, you take their power away and you stay in your own power. Therefore, the people that are not meant to cross paths with you, they will naturally fall away and they will no longer be in your path because you have honestly sheltered yourself from them with your confidence by saying, hey, you know what? You don't have to like what I'm doing. You don't have to agree with what I'm doing. I'm not asking you to be part of it. I am just letting you know that regardless of you, I'm continuing in my path. And that really opens the gates for us to be able to meet those community members or people in the world that need our message. And there's somebody that says, somebody famous, and I love how they say it, and I will butcher how they say it, but it's about like, stop trying to feed the people that don't want your food because there are people that absolutely want it and need it. So feed those people. And I think it's so true because oftentimes when we're uncomfortable stepping into our calling, and especially in this experience with intuition, and I'm guessing you've had the same experience, we're trying to force feed the people that we want to eat the food and accept what we're saying. And they're like just spitting it out on the floor. But there's people behind them saying, my fork is ready. I'm ready to eat. And those are the ones that we need to be turning towards. And we can't do that until we're confident in our own self and make that declaration that I'm in it, regardless of who's behind me, because I'm the one that's paving the path. Love it. I love where the direction of this is going. And I love this. I know that this conversation is definitely hitting home for a lot of women that need this message. I want to go and just ask, like, can you share a moment when your intuition led you to a sign or a message that completely shifted your path or perspective? I think that this is so important, Kim, because a lot of my women have been met with intuitive downloads that were meant to lead them down a path or shift a perspective, but they ignored it. And I want them to hear how you've experienced it so that they can start to find a way to let those come in.
Wow, I feel like I've had so many throughout the last few years, but I'm going to start with the most recent because I think that um, it's really relatable to the times right now. So in January of 2024, January 3rd, 2024, I came back to work and all of a sudden we had a little meeting on our calendar and the whole division that I helped open up in a job that I loved and was so successful at, they were moving our division under another parent company. And so it was like, goodbye, you're going to be done in 30 days. And I'm like, what? This is where I thought I was going to end my career, right? Like I was helping save lives with the equipment that we provided. I had led a specific group across the country. I made millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars for the company. We were doing what we needed to do.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, but here's the key that started popping up for me, okay, is that I knew when I put my book out previously, like a few months prior to that or the year prior to that, that I was supposed to be stepping into my spiritual work more. I knew I was supposed to be bringing that message more, but I could come up with every excuse. I'm single. I need a job. I don't have time. I would just kind of swept away from it. And so then I started applying for jobs and no jobs were coming. So I went back to the hospital, which I love. Um, and then I'd apply for jobs. I'd go through, I went up to 8 interviews sometimes, right? And I still won't get the job. And every time I would kind of pray and ask, what do I need to do? Someone would inbox me in Facebook and say, I just got a sign. And then I'd be like, oh, that's so cool. And then I'd be like, I'm not sure what I should be doing. And then somebody would drop an email. Kim, call me. You got to hear the sign story I have. And I'm like, wow, this is so cool. Like, okay, okay. And then what really tipped it off, Tara, and I've already shared this with you, is that I had a really good job interview. Great, it's going to be a great company, doing what I thought would be wonderful and love, but I knew I needed a sign. I'm like, I need to know 100% if this is going to happen. Like if I should take it or not, or if I should just kind of dive back into my spiritual work or continuation of my spiritual work, really. I didn't know during that interview, but it went for 3 hours. An interview for 3 hours when it's supposed to be an hour, you're pretty sure you're going to get the job, right?
Right.
I woke up in the middle of the night on a Sunday night. I knew either I wasn't taking the job or I wasn't getting the job. And I was like, what? And literally no more than 10 minutes had passed by. I looked at the clock and it was 4:44. And then I had 3 people that day call and tell me sign stories. And I'm like, I get it. I get it, God. I get it. So I'm like, nope, I am going to stay where I'm at because it allows me times to step in, and I'm plowing forward with helping people realize that sometimes they know the answers. And even though it's hitting you in the face sometimes and you don't want to acknowledge it, the moment that you do, everything starts to fall in place. I'm not saying it's going to look beautiful and the path is going to be easy, but what I'm saying is your soul just becomes settled. You know that all you need to do is take step by step and follow the process and see where it goes. I often relate that because I grew up, in a small town with the farming. I'm like, those men, those boys, they knew they were going to be farmers. I don't think some of them ever doubted it. So why do we as women or people that are bringing forth a need in the world question what we're doing? Why
Right.
do we feel like it has to be look a certain way, right? To be able to bring our soul's purpose forward.
Mm,
Some people may not understand it, but I know that the people listening to this podcast know deep inside them what they need to be doing, where they need to go, what decision to make.
yes.
I've made hard decisions in my life, even knowing I'm probably not going to be okay for a while, but you open up your car door and there's a feather, or you walk down the road and there's pennies everywhere. Like there are signs they're trying to tell you, listen, take the steps, do what you need to do. Do you agree?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. I could talk about this for hours on end. I love what you're sharing because the signs are there and we dismiss them. We dismiss them as just whatever, luck of the draw. One time, Kim, I was walking on the highway. Well, I walk on the highway a lot. So people are listening like, what do you mean one time? Well, there was a time when I was walking on the highway and in the gravel on the side of the highway, I found a freaking quarter. It glistened. Like that was a complete sign. I knew that there was a sign. And when I stopped and I picked up that quarter, I moved off the road just in time to not get hit by a vehicle when the driver was on their phone. Like that sign was there to say, pick this quarter up because they knew if we show Tara a quarter, that girl's gonna die for that quarter. So it's yes, signs are there all the time and they're there for a reason. Nothing's coincidental.
What we forget is that we are protected, right? We're protected, we're guided, we're in tune what's happening, but sometimes we still need that physical, tangible piece of evidence to
Yeah.
lock it in. And I think it's okay to have that. And it's actually kind of exciting. It's like, okay, yes, yes, I'm going to do that. Or if you get in your car and you turn on a radio and you hear the words that you need to hear, or I love license plates where they're like, I saw one that's like, you are okay, right? And I'm just like, yes. So it's like when you see those signs, I want people to kind of step back and think, what's been on my mind? What's bothering me? What decisions am I putting off? What decisions have I made that I could celebrate because this is confirmation? It could be both, right? It could be direction or confirmation.
Yeah.
So I think if you start breaking down intuition and knowing into these little things that you can feel tangibly in your hands or see visually, that might help you further step into what you're supposed to do, especially if someone here is like, you know, going, hey, I this intuition stuff is driving me crazy. I don't know what to do with it. Like,
Yeah.
embrace it, love on it, tell people about it. I think that's one of the first things too, is maybe your experience was you're maybe a little fearful to share with people how how much is coming through you, how much information that you download, or how much energy that you can share with people, or what your healing gifts are. And getting over the fear, like you said, of stepping into it is really just going to change really the world. I mean, look at it. Like, how many people aren't benefiting from the information or the talents or gifts that we're sharing? Like, you couldn't, lock that tractor up in the Quonset and say, you're not going to go plow and seed the field, because they're going to be like, no, we got to feed the people. This is how we feed the people, right? We feed the people in a different way.
Yep.
So,
So true. And there's always something like that. Anything that's new, the first time somebody comes out with an idea, think about the light bulb. Thank God that he was persistent and continued. And I say he because I cannot remember the name of the individual. I'm not a historian.
yeah,
So
Edison. Yeah,
yeah, yes,
Edison.
there you go. Alice, thank you. Um, Thank goodness that he was absolutely persistent to continue on, because how many people thought that he was ridiculous to think that there was anything that could come from that, or is it the Wilbur brothers? I probably said that wrong, but the plane and all the things like these, there was always somebody that brought something in first, and they were ridiculed, they were laughed at, they were told it's never going to work, and they didn't quit listening to their intuition to know that they were right. And in the universal laws, it says that everything always is created twice, meaning that, like Steve Jobs, he had the idea of a phone, and it came into his mind, and it came to him because he was meant to be the one to create it. He was meant to be the one that was going to bring it into physical form. But it first of all was something that was in mental form. It was in the form of an idea, and intuitively he listened. Now, was he an intuitive healer? Nope. But he listened to his intuition, and he heard it, and he followed the guidance that he was receiving, and boom, we all are blessed with phones that we freaking love every single day. So we all have this intuitive ability, and I love that you speak about it in signs. And I think that when we bring it in form of signs, it's a bite-sized piece that gives us permission to say, "Oh, I can have fun with this." And then as we do that, it allows us to start to actually see how it's showing up in our lives. And it does shift our perspectives, and it does bring us down a path that we wouldn't have followed had we not started looking at the signs.
Yeah,
No,
and it can do healing along the way too, you know.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
So one of the things that you have on your book and your podcast that's going to be launching here on the 21st of August coming up, you have a feather. Something about the feather is a significant thing for you. What can you share? Are you comfortable sharing what that is?
Yeah, I think years ago when I first started getting into spirituality, every time I kind of had a question or was thinking about something, I would just find feathers in the craziest places. For example, I was sitting at a convention, and they weren't speaking on anything spiritual at all. And all of a sudden, this teeniest, tiniest baby feather, and I think there's a picture of it in my book actually, but it wasn't even an inch long. This white feather just came poop and landed right on my knee. And I'm like, what is that all about? Right. I was like really resonating with what they were speaking about. And I thought, oh, that's so cool. And then after I had a collection of feathers. Like every time something I had questions about, I would find feathers in the craziest places. Another time was when my dad was in the intensive care unit in Fargo, and he needed to have a second open heart surgery. And the surgeon's like, too risky. And we're like, what? Like, he's not going to survive if he doesn't get this extra surgery. And being a healthcare provider, I knew what the ramifications of that no was. So I asked for a second opinion, and they're like, "Oh, we don't know. There's no surgeons here." I think it was like a holiday weekend. It might have been over Labor Day, to be honest with you, now that I think about it. And anyways, we finally got a second opinion, and we all of us in the family kind of sat in this family room off the ICU thinking, is this going to work or is something else going to happen? And we walked outside, and third floor, remember, there's a big, large white feather laying on the floor. How does a big, large white feather get on the third floor of the intensive care waiting room? I don't know, but it was confirmation to me that everything was going to be okay. And luckily enough, that second opinion, the doctor said yes. He had a surgery, and he continued to do well for years after that. But so it seemed like that was kind of my go-to sign that I would receive. Did I receive other ones along the way? Yeah, there's pink flamingos, I feel like are a sign from my grandma because we connected with those. And I think the audience really should know, Tara, that like each sign may have different meanings for everyone. So just because, you hear somebody say 1111 make a wish, 1111 and making a wish might not resonate for you. Or pennies from heaven may not resonate with you. Like I always feel like change means that people think you're priceless or you're a value or what you're doing is a value. So I think the fun part is interpreting what the signs mean for yourself, along with what others might see of those. But so that's kind of where the feather came into play. And after my mom passed, I did get a feather. After I opened up my door one day, I was like crying, driving home. Like I just couldn't believe that she had left us suddenly. And there it was. And I'm like, okay, she's there.
Yes.
So I had to carry that forward.
Oh, I love that. And I thank you for saying that it should be to each their own. I feel like we get stuck in boxes and we go like the internet is an amazing thing. I love the internet. However, it's easy to go on there and read and take it as the gospel truth that that's the only possibility of what it could be. And you really reminding us that we can take it at face value of what feels right for us. And when we go in, and I work with women and going in and listening to themselves and hearing, like just being present with themselves and allowing themselves to bring forward, what is this? What does this mean for me? And it can mean something entirely different. And even if you share with somebody, this is what I think it means for me. If they say, well, that's not what it means for me, that's okay. So ask them, well, that's cool. This is what it means for me. What does it mean for you? Allow them to share that because the more that we don't back up and say, oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm wrong. It does mean this. The more that we stay rooted in what it means for us, but then we invite them to share what it means for them, the more that we're opening the world to see that we can all have our own thoughts and opinions and feelings on this. And it doesn't make us wrong. It doesn't make us broken. It doesn't make us anything other than who we are and that we're accepting that. And I love that. I love that you share that. That's a very good way to put it. So, talk to us about the book, which you, to my audience, Kim has graciously said that she's. I'll let you share that about the book. You reached out about the giving a book or having a book available to anybody that gives a review. So, we're the person that leaves a review is going to be gifted this book. And so anybody that leaves a review on this specific episode, all the names are going to go in the drawing and the lucky winner will be reached out to. And you get to receive this book that is written by Kim herself. And I would love for you to share with everybody what this book is about and what drove you. How did you know you were supposed to write it?
So I have always wanted to write my own book. I've participated in many books where I've written chapters because that's just the way I want to leave a legacy with the written word. And I wasn't expecting that to kind of come about, but like I had mentioned previously, my mom had passed unexpectedly, 100% unexpectedly. And so a few months in after she passed, it just kind of woke me in the middle of the night. And it was like, you just need to get the signs book out. And that was because prior to her passing, I was traveling for work. And this is kind of the beginning of my book. And I'm going to share a little bit of it and hope that the readers will embrace that, or whoever receives the book. I was traveling for work to Texas, and it was just a normal day. And I just an uneasy feeling as I was flying down there, like something was off. So I landed, kind of checked into my hotel and thought, okay, I'm gonna call check on everybody because I traveled a ton for work. So traveling was not the big deal, but I'm like, huh, what's up? So everybody was fine. So I'm like, okay, I think I'm going to go to Cracker Barrel. It happened to be across the street. And Cracker Barrel's kind of one of those. It's got fun gift shop and great homemade food. And I'm like, I just need some homemade food. I walked in, and the first thing I saw was pink flamingos and everywhere. And that was a sign from my grandma. So I thought she was saying, everything's fine, Kim, everything's fine. Well, then I got to the airport to leave that day, and my sisters had called and said my mom was in the emergency room, but they were sending her home because everything was fine. And then I looked over, and there was a quilt on the wall that said, "Don't panic." I thought, that's so strange. There was a whole bunch of quilt displays, but don't panic. And I thought, ooh, that's weird. So anyways, I flew home, and then I got delayed. I didn't get home till like 4 in the morning. Called my parents, checked on my mom, and they were like, she's fine. You can take her to the doctor on Friday. I'm like, cool, I'll come over after work. And my dad called and said, your mom's fine. And she said on the phone, I'm fine. You don't have to come over. And so I literally sat outside, 'cause I've been up for like almost 24 hours, sat outside in the sun and fell asleep for a moment. My sister had called me like a million times, and she had had an unexpected cardiac arrest and possible stroke. And they were trying to revive her. And I didn't make it to the hospital in time, even though she was only like 15 minutes away. And so what I realized was those signs were prepping me, knowing that everything would be okay. Like everybody was starting to gather around me for what was unfolding versus what wasn't. And when I woke up in the middle of the night, it's like you need to show people that there are signs. You need to let them know that like your mom's still with you. You can still connect in, you're supported. And because at times of grief, whether it's from a loss of a loved one, loss of a job, loss of a marriage, loss of a child, like sometimes you feel so alone, right? And
Mhm.
I just needed some hope. And I just thought I have to spread, sorry, it's kind of choking me up because
Nope,
it's like I just
sorry. Yeah.
had to spread that hope to other people
Yeah.
that we still have connection, right?
Mm.
And so fortunately for me, I had a phone full of years of signs. I've also had friends that have shared sign stories with me. So what I did was combined all of it. I wanted to be an experience for the reader, and it's very simple reading, probably only take you an hour and a half. It's a short book. But what it does is it describe signs, how to ask for them, but it gives you real life stories and the photos of the signs that people received, and then some journal prompts to make you think, like, how do I open myself up to receiving signs? Or what would it feel like if this were my sign? Or just to kind of unpack what's going on and see how that can make your life feel more full, to give you that hope and to affirm that connection, whether it's to yourself, to God, to
Wow.
your loved ones. So
Yes. Oh, it's just, I'm so like, I'm just overcome with emotion for, losing my own loved ones and receiving signs from them often. But, and not but, and I'm just so proud of you. I'm so proud of you for taking this very traumatic and difficult experience and turning it into a vessel of hope and love and a finding for them to connect with their loved ones. There are a rare number of individuals that can allow themselves to use a traumatic experience that will bring happiness, love, joy, and peace into other people's lives. And you've done that, Kim. You've done that with your book. And I am so honored that one of the listeners that leaves a review gets to be blessed with that. I am so truly honored and excited for them. Thank you for vulnerably sharing that and just letting us know what the book is about and why it's so important and why you were compelled and knowing that you needed to write it. Beautiful.
I'm so looking forward to your listeners thinking about how they can start to be the change in their own life today by, re-examining their intuition, thinking about their mindset, kind of putting that fear aside and stepping into who they want to be, right? And whether it's writing a book or, planting the garden or jumping into a new career, like what's stopping you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And if you need that tangible sign, look for it. And if they also need help from you, Tara, they can kind of tap into all of the wonderful work that you're providing to help, balance the energies and clear what's stuck and work through trauma and blocks and all of the things. I know I've experienced it and it's been wonderful for me. And I've been through a lot of, healers, so to speak, in my years, and Tara is extremely powerful, whether in person or remote. I've done strictly remote because we haven't been in the same place at the same time yet.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that there's so many ways that now is the time to step into whatever it is. So let's not talk about change. Let's talk about being where they're at. We want those people where they want to be. So take action now.
I love that. Thank you. And I think this is a great place to allow you to share with people that are inspired by what you've shared and the work that you're putting out there. What does working with you in your intuitive space, what does that look like, Kim? And how can people find you?
Oh, you can find me at Kim Brazier, BRAZIER.com. And you can put that in the show notes if you want, Tara. And then, or see the signsbook.com. I do some connection calls. So if you want to connect into your intuition, your mindset, I can certainly help you determine what signs. I feel like, I can kind of tell you what signs you should be looking for and what you can kind of see with that and just kind of whatever our call leads us to. I have done remote Reiki work in the past, and I can do that on our calls if we want to, but it's not a specific offering. And then mostly the book and really coming forward to the podcast or sending me. I would love to hear sign stories. And if anybody would like to share those, that we can get them out, because I feel like the more we spread the messages that people receive, the more people open up and are available to receive the messages that they need to hear and see. Like, it's okay. This is real. This was a message.
Yeah.
It's this movement, this momentum to keep that energy flowing.
Oh, I love that. Yes. So, listeners, you heard Kim. She asked to receive the sign. So, as she indicated in her book, she has received pictures. So, it would be amazing if you took that picture and embraced that moment and sent it to Kim. And I'll put everything in the show notes so you know exactly how to connect with her and where to go. You can do a connection call. I absolutely recommend that you reach out and just request that connection call and just take some time to look and get to know Kim at all the links that I'll put there so that you can see the work she does and feel how it resonates with you. And if you feel that resonation of knowing that you need to reach out to her, then please don't hesitate because in that, knowing you need to reach out is a sign. And also, if you're a new listener and this is the very first podcast, welcome. Thank you for stepping into the hallways of Be the Change You Need podcast. I'm freaking honored to have you. And I will say, you are here in this particular episode on purpose. Nothing's coincidental. And this is a sign that you're meant to receive. And there's something in what Kim is sharing that you're needing today. So I highly recommend that you check out her book, her work, take a look at the websites, and see what is coming through for you and what you're needing to receive. Miss Kim, I have loved getting to spend this time together with you. Thank you so much for being a guest on my podcast. Before we close out, I do want to ask you to share what is your podcast, August 21st it's launching, right? Is that correct? Okay. What is it about? Like what are we going to hear when we listen?
Oh my gosh, it's going to be so good. You are going to hear myself telling you about my experiences with the signs. We're going to talk about identifying signs, like what really are signs, what they could potentially mean for you, how to ask for signs. We're going to really talk about being open to receive, because not only open to receive signs, but open to receive abundance and love, whatever you desire in your heart, right? And then we're going to have some special guests that are going to talk about their experiences with receiving signs and how they impacted their life, how sometimes these signs can make us make a change, right? In
Yes.
our lives, right? To stimulate those conversations with others, to create trust and belief and affirm everything. And then I'm also going to do some episodes where I'm actually going to like channel some information and signs for individuals as well. So I'm super excited.
Good. Oh, that's going to be awesome. I like that it's well versed, like you've got different pillars of things that you're bringing into it. That is super. And where are you going to, where can people find it? Is Apple, Spotify, do you have different space
Yep.
places?
Yep, we're going to be on Apple and Spotify, and then eventually we'll get to the YouTube. But right now, if you just want to go sign up for the newsletter or the notification about it at my website, then we'll lead you right where you need to be.
Awesome. Very good. Yes, and then you'll be in the know of when it launches, which again is going to be August 21st. Will you be doing weekly episodes that you'll be dropping? Do you have a specific day?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing bi-weekly or twice a week episodes. Yeah. So I'm going to be launching on Wednesdays and Sundays. So one will be more information and one will be more guests and information. So the fun part is I just love hearing everyone's experiences. So if you want to have something that's uplifting and maybe a little tear jerking at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And inspirational, I definitely think you should hop in for the experience.
Super. Thank you so much for sharing. I cannot wait to listen. And again, to all my listeners, I encourage you to take a look at the information that I'll share in the show notes about Kim. Reach out to her with your signs. Embrace those signs. Even if they're new to you and you're not sure if it's a sign, just trust it and allow yourself to drop into it. Take a picture, send it, and say, I think this might be a sign and enjoy it. And I know that Kim will appreciate it as well. And you might get some words back. You may not, but knowing Kim, I'm sure that you will get some words back. Thank you again for
Thank you so
having.
much for having me, Tara. This has been so fun. And I can't wait to see all the pictures or experiences from your listeners too.
Yes, yes, same here. And to each and every one of you that has listened in, if you're a return listener, I love you. Thank you for being here. You know that I'm your biggest cheerleader in your journey of healing. And I appreciate that you choose this podcast, this time. I never take the time that you spend here for granted. So thank you for being here. And you new individuals, hello. You're officially a warrior queen if you choose to be one. So pick your locker, put your name tag on it, hang up your robe, put your slippers in there and whatever drink of choice you've got, and take up space because I want you to take up space in the hallways of this podcast. And as always, you know that if you are in the struggle right now, know that there's nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You do not need to be fixed. You need to come home. You need to look in the mirror and see the woman looking back at you and know that there's so much love that is waiting to be received. And you are worthy of that love. You are deserving of that love. And if you need help in receiving it and coming home to it, you know where to find me because I'm the woman that is here to help you through it. And